Hi, everyone, and welcome to this second look. We are Norbert, that's me. On the other side, my friend Martin, two
Hi.
passionate uh, hobby photographers on a mission to explore the deeper side of photography. And on this channel, it's not just about the gear or the technical settings, it's about the stories behind the shots, the moments, the unexpected beauty, the emotions, and the things that make a photo truly unforgettable. And we believe that every image deserves a second look. So, whether you're a fellow photographer, an art lover, or just someone who enjoys seeing the world from different eyes, we're glad you're here. Join us on this journey and let's discover together what lies beneath the surface and great photography. And don't forget, by the way, to like, subscribe, or take the second look with us. Today, we bring you part two of what motivates and drives us to grab our cameras and head out into nature. And today, Martin has prepared some photos, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to surprise me with. I have no clue. So, Martin, I'm super excited. Let me see what you have.
All right. Thank you for the stage. So as a small introduction, or recap, not introduction, last week we had Norbert's photos, and Norbert is a very passionate, very motivated photographer. He has a lot of um, he has the stuff planned up front. In contrast to me, I call myself a photographer by chance. And I bring you here my first image or my first photo. It's from 1999, so a little bit before digital cameras came along. And this was on a photo trip in Zimbabwe, so from Botswana going to Zimbabwe to South Africa and back again. And I took this image one morning. At that time, I was way younger and we did a lot of camping. So one morning on the camping ground, I opened up my tent and approximately 3 to 4 meters, this fellow was there enjoying
So
his
this guy was
morning.
really right in front of the tent.
Yes, they are not that shy, and
Okay.
I don't know about the aggro level of those animals. I've never read about them beyond knowing that it's a warthog, and they are in that sense they are not that shy. So they are. It might be that they are really close. And this one was, I was just opening up my tent, and then you have to imagine. So you're halfway out of the tent, and then where the heck is my camera? Ah, okay, there's my camera. And then I took this image. The image is itself was uh, taken on color slide, and I don't have the slides anymore. So I am not one that is attached too much to the past, but I always wanted to keep the images. And when digital stuff came along, I digitized my slides. I told a few videos before, and but that was it was very, very dark, and so I had to use some curve tool and some other stuff to enhance it. And but from the photo perspective, or from taking the image, it was uh just a surprise. So that's I always I have never a plan when I go out besides where I might roam around, what I do in general. But for the images itself, I have never a specific idea like you do.
Martin, do you remember how long it took you from recognizing this guy standing in front of the tent until you really made this shot?
Yeah, he was quite calm, so we had some time for that. And I'm a sleepy guy, so I'm a night owl. I tend to stay up longer and get up later. But if you want to do something in the bush and you want to do photos, so we got up at a little bit after sunrise, and
Okay.
it might have taken me a few seconds, 15 seconds to get everything in order. And well, he was busy with himself. He was doing his breakfast, and so everything was fine. And he was not bothered by me taking a photo of him, I
And
suppose him,
was he
since
the only animal around, or
oh yeah, that was
was it
really
just with him?
in the middle of the camp. So you usually get to a camping ground like from Europe, but they are just out in the open, and you never know if there is not some wild animal passing by. So it's not fenced in that sense, and no one's allowed in or out. And so that was just in the middle of the camp.
So they are like the wild boars we have in Europe.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
so
know how much they have in common in regards to their temper. I think I would be more scared of European wild boars, especially if they have younglings along. But this was a single guy just having his lunch or whatever. And so I took out the camera and had the time for this cool shot, I
because
think.
when I'm trying to capture animals, I'm always too slow.
Ah,
That's
yeah.
my issue.
Yeah, and I can, in my other photos, I can also tell something about this a little bit more. So that's that.
Very nice capture. And it's from 97, you said.
1999.
1999. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
close to 2000. And I think my camera at that time was a Canon EOS 50 or something like that. I also said already at that time, I strived for the mid-range. So uh, so far, I never brought up the money or had the drive to go really full format. And for single dig, it's Canon, or for top tier equipment. So I consider my equipment in the mid-range for SVR, ambitioned amateurs and hobbyists,
Absolutely.
and trying to get the best out of that. And we can't tell with this image entirely because it has been on color slide, and this is just the digitized image from the color slide. And uh, I think it came out pretty good.
Absolutely.
But I
Sure.
I don't want to
I like
spend
this guy.
too much time on this one. I have four
Okay.
images which I have to cover. Oh no, I have yeah,
Oh,
okay, four. So that's also another quick shot. And this one is I did this with my mobile phone. And you can see the eye and the head is a little bit blurry. So usually, if you go out with your mobile phone, they are quite reliable where you can put the focus. But this was really, really quick because this is the rim of a fountain, and
okay.
so those guys, the doves or pigeons, they are not waiting for you. So he was just sitting there, but there were several ones, and I was just, and I also was quite close, and uh, and funny thing is, it did not get the focus right on the head and the eye, but in my opinion, somehow it looks like a drawing, yeah,
Yeah,
like a
that's just
painting.
what I just wanted to say, but that's the thing that makes it special
Yep,
from my point of view.
it somehow it's still interesting. So I don't want to praise a broken photo because I actually intended to have the focus on the head and the eye. also showing on my on the later pictures that. But I think it somehow it's still interesting. So that's why I used this one and I uploaded this one. And this is really I was in this city and I was approaching. I did not know this fountain and I did not know this corner of the city. I was approaching that and there were several doves and he was sitting there quite minding his own business. And then I approached it. I stepped to it step by step and get closer to maybe 1.5 meters. So he was very patient with me as well in that sense.
It's
So
very
uh,
relaxed. So
the I ruined my own photo because he was not stressed at that time at all. So and but nevertheless, when I had it done, he flew away. And so yeah, that's what I'm stuck with. That's the image.
no, also a nice one.
Yeah, and again, I am a photographer by chance. So I stepped out in the city. It might have been a sunny Sunday afternoon, and I was just strolling through the city.
And
And
you have not
and
planned to do pictures. It just came up as you saw this guy sitting there.
yeah, I didn't have my camera with me. I always have my phone with me, I might say. I think I never leave it at home because cameras on mobile phones today are really, really good.
Yeah.
And some of my best images I do with mobile phone. You also have a cool way for trickery, especially with the color temperature and stuff like that. And we can do a video about this one at some later time because when you do sunsets or stuff like that, then you can really do some very quick, fancy stuff. When you try to do it with the photo apparatus, it takes you way more time than just doing with the mobile
We should
phone.
do a comparison. Yeah, one with the
Yep.
mobile, one with the camera. But that's this would be a different story then.
So I was just stepping out and there it was. And I also like the background. There's some garage door and there's some graffiti on it. So I like the whole scenery. I'm quite happy with the overall composition of the photo.
The
But
composition is super nice. Yeah.
unfortunately, I did not hit the right spot. But in hindsight, it makes it
So,
maybe even more interesting. Imagine this would also be very sharp. I think it would be half as interesting as it is now.
no,
Okay, another one was that was
okay.
quite photographed
One.
by
This is
chance. So I was passing through this city, and I have a slow tempo when I walk through the city with my photo apparatus or with my mobile phone and looking left, right, up, down. What interests me? Is it the structure on the walls and maybe a special window or uh, some painting on a wall, graffiti or whatever, or some special pattern in the on the tiling and stuff like that. And I was passing, and I turned myself to the right, and there was this really, really narrow way. This way is not more. You can see it on the slabs on the floor. Those are maybe 30 centimeter slabs. Yes, we are living in Europe, and therefore you have to adjust to us using the metric system somehow. So this was maybe a meter from left to right, maybe not even a
did
meter.
you walk? Did you walk through, or you just passed by?
No, I had something else in mind, and there's someone living. So that's actually some door, not to a business or what else. Is someone is living way back there for whatever reason. And I was just, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. And the blue sky, I luckily had good sunlight. And this is the mobile phone cameras allow this. You just have you can do a lot of with the zoom.
Mhm.
So of course you don't have you have a hard time adjusting speed for the camera. You can do that in some, so I can do it on my Samsung phone. I can do that. And you have a hard time adjusting the aperture. I've never
Mhm.
seen something you could really do that because actually, of course, it does not have one. Not really. And so you have to trick with the zoom, and you can trick with color temperature, and with the ISO settings. I don't know really technical how they reflect on the mobile phone cameras, but there's some, and you always have it on fingers adjustment, right? So tip, 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 and so that's much quicker. And so I was just adjusting my zoom, and then I took this picture.
So this perspective is amazing because if you look at the door, it looks like it's 200 meters away.
Yeah, and it was quite a long way. So I guess it was really 30 meters or something like that.
Huh? Huh?
So it is quite far away, but with the huge wide angle, so it even seems farther away than well than it
So
is
looking at
wrong, but
Martin, looking at your pictures, it's I have to rethink if I should give my mobile a chance, yeah, because I'm normally not that addicted
no, I
to make
like it and I
pictures with
hate it.
my mobile. Yeah.
I like it because
Yeah.
many of such quick shot images you are much faster with the mobile phone
Yeah.
than with the camera. And I hate it because it's in my head it's still second class
Yeah,
photography.
that's the point. Yeah. Yeah. So I always
So
like to have my camera in hands and a little bit of weight. And,
yeah,
uh,
we look much more professional with the
professional
camera
with the
in.
camera. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But you can do so much fun and cool photos with the mobile phone. I highly suggest if you want to get into photography and you don't want to spend money on a real camera equipment, then get a good mobile phone with a good camera. There are comparisons. There are pages and websites for comparison for those, just for the camera part of mobile phones. And so that's a really lot of fun. So that's
Super
again
interesting.
a photographer by chance. And what I also like is
Oh, this is
animal
this is.
photography.
But
And
this is not with the mobile.
no, that's done
Okay.
with my I have a Pentax. It's a Pentax K70. 70. No, it's not just 7, it's 70. And this is totally mid-range, and there are several others. So I have been using a lot of Canon in my life, and I switched away from Canon to try out other things. In the 90s, I switched 90s to the early 2000s. I switched from Canon to Minolta, and then I switched back to Canon. And then I didn't have any digital SLR camera for a long time. Then I bought Pentax, and then I bought quite some glasses and lenses for the Pentax. And uh, they somehow stopped manufacturing. There's a successor to the K70, but it's very expensive in comparison what you get in advancement of features. It's too expensive. And so I turned back to Canon last year again. But this is done with a Pentax and Pentax lens. And what I really like, so when I do that, since my equipment is not top notch, you can adjust to that with having some time. And some time you have to you is short and some time is long. For this image, I maybe waited an hour, 1.5 hours or something like that. And I have plenty of those. This is not the single image I then had. This afternoon maybe I made 400 images from this crab or its bodies,
Yeah,
and
the
this is
colors are amazing. It's
yeah.
really nice.
This
Unbelievable
this
color.
is this is about 35%, and I think this is more like 100%. And with animal photography, uh, you always have to concentrate on the eyes. If you don't get the eyes in focus, usually, in contrast to my pigeon, then the image is not, it's actually ruined because you can have everything else sharp. If you don't have the action sharp, if you don't have the eyes sharp, then it's ruined. And this from those 400 or so images is one of the best. It's sharp in all areas. So
And
especially in the
what was the
eyes.
size of this guy? How big this crab was? Was it a
Oh, they are
small one?
approximately, let's say, this one was, well, just the shell is maybe 15 centimeters, and
Okay.
with the legs, so let's say 20, 25 overall in circumference. But from going here to the other side of its shell, maybe 15 centimeters or something like that. And up down, I'd guess 4 or 5, something like that. And and it brings you quite some joy if you have one image really right. And you can
Yeah.
also do it with not with top notch, but you have to spend more time and maybe more images. And of course, then it's more fun if you're sitting in the warm and not in snow or something like that. But again, that's not really by chance, but I was sitting on a rock for maybe an hour, 1.5 hours, and then if you do the slightest movement, those guys are gone. They are not interested in you coming close, and so you have to have a little bit of a zoom lens.
But your target was this crab. So you waited for this crab to come
Yes,
out. Okay.
so whatever crap, but it was this then. So there are several ones, but he came out of the water. I have several of this when he comes out of the water and he climbs some rock, and then he gets a little bit closer. And because it was maybe afternoon, early afternoon, so those guys try to get also some sunlight and get their food and whatever they are doing in the sun and getting some energy out of the light and sun. And so, yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
Very good. Yes, so maybe I
And
should focus more on these spontaneous photos. And
yep, I have a last one that is similar to this one. And I was sitting again with my, uh, in comparison, slow Pentax K70 with my Pentax 300 objective. And this was quite close, right? But okay, I have to zoom it. This one was
wow.
quite this one was quite far. So this is maybe uh 20, somewhere between 20 and 30 meters. And again,
And
I
look at
was,
the eye. It's super sharp as far as I can see from here.
yep, and
Yeah.
that's maybe
Wow.
again 100%, something like that. And also again, it sitting there and having time paid off. And again, I maybe have 250 images of this gull because I was following it. I was sitting in a rock and it was sitting somewhere maybe 20 meters away and was just sitting and hopping around. And I have images where it's hopping around and there's some other uh, crustacean crawling around. And then it was flying away. It was flying one direction, and I made some photos, and you only get the tail of it. Not good. And then it was turning around, and it was doing another images, and this is going back and forth 3 or 4 times. And then one of those, I really hit it. I think that's quite
Do you have
quite
any
well.
idea what was the shutter speed you used here?
I oh nope. I know, but I don't know if I can find out that quick. I can. That's a good reminder. I will leave the shutter. I will leave my camera settings for this one, and maybe also for the crab. I will leave it in the video
Yeah.
description. That's a good question. Because of course I have it, but I can't find it right now. I will leave it in the video description.
And I
And
really like that a lot because I tried to capture some birds recently, and even with my camera, I have this modus where I can do the setup, and the autofocus is focusing on animals.
yep,
Hmm?
my trick in the
And
meantime is to crank up the speed, so make it short, okay? But you with bad equipment or with amateur equipment, you're limited. So I crank up ISO all the way that I know that it's not too grainy.
Mhm.
So usually for this camera, I crank it up at least to 400.
Okay.
Even if it's a sunny day, because if I go down to 200, it does not give me that much better images, but it gives me way more room for the speed and for aperture.
Mhm.
And with flying birds, it's always difficult for the aperture because when they fly out of focus, you're effed. And
Mhm.
if so, you have to that's some you have to play around this, and that's the reason why you have to sit longer on your rock or wherever you wait out in comparison to much more expensive gear. But on the other hand, you can still get with some time, you can get some decent images, definitely.
But this one is really amazing.
And usually, well, I'm guessing here, I might have had the speed to 500 or something like that. And of course, what helps is if you have a camera that can do a lot of shoots and images in succession. And
Mhm.
that's also the part when what you invest in. If the more expensive your equipment is, you get not even higher ISO values, but you get less grain on higher ISO values. You get more shutter speed, more images in the same amount that you can of time that you can take. So I hope that made sense. And so that's what you're paying for. So the cheap equipment is not necessarily bad, as we see, but you have to wait out more.
Oh, super nice.
So that's me, photographer by chance and by sitting on the rock.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so I think
usually
we have a very good combination. Yeah, I'm planning most of my shots, even at 3 in the morning, and you're doing it mainly by chance. So maybe we should do a mixture. Yeah. Next
yeah,
time we will go out
definitely.
together. I will plan it, and you will do the shots.
Oh yeah, all right. Okay, good idea.
Yeah. Then okay. Perfect. Yeah. Then
That's from me for this, and we can wrap it up. Do you want to also do the wrap up?
yeah, sure, sure. So, okay then. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, it was of course a pleasure as usual. And we would be super, super happy and excited if you could send us pictures that we can discuss. So we will leave, uh,
Upload link in the
yeah, the link where you can
description. Send
upload
us
it.
your photos.
Yeah. And yeah, as said, hit the bell button, subscribe, and see you later, guys. Next time on the second look. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.